This is WP Watercooler episode number 333. This topic is building a website as easy as they say it is.
No.
Let's go. Before we go around the room, I just want to let you know that this particular episode of WP Watercooler is brought to you by ServerPress, makers of desktop server. Go over to their website over at serverpress.com.
What is this?
Right? I know, that's pretty awesome, isn't it? So let's go around the room real quick and get everyone introduced. Let's go with Say. Say, tell us a bit about yourself.
I don't know who I am anymore. No. I'm Say Reed. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress at Say Reed Media on all the things. And I'm a co-organizer for WordCamp Long Beach. And I just booked some of the after party. It's going to be real fun. So y'all peeps should come out, and you should also talk about the future of WordPress because it's getting some traction, and you should come chat about it.
Awesome. Good to have you on, as always, Say. How about you, Kosper?
Good thing.
I'm Jason Kosper, and I forgot to put pants on this morning. Back to you, Tucker.
Glenn, pants or no pants? How's it going?
I'm going to say forgot.
Glenn, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm Glenn Ingram. I have a web design optimization business based in Huntington Beach, and we specialize in web accessibility. So,
cool.
Wait, do you optimize design?
Yeah, design and optimization. Search.
Okay, because I didn't know if there was a design optimization or design and optimization, if those were separate or together.
Typically, your first round is if you don't design the website and optimize it properly, then they spend 2 to 3 times as much to optimize offsite. So if you get the foundation built properly, the building works better.
Glenn's optimizing your money is what's happening here.
In fact, I think we should start with that. Screw design.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. I do this show as well as another show called WP Lab. So feel free to go take a look at that. Say's freaking out because I'm actually making things show up on the screen here, and it's awesome. So you can go over to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe. That's where you can find this show, WP Watercooler, as well as WP Lab, which we did yesterday. And we talked a lot about just the various things that were happening here in WordPress over the summer, from acquisitions to all sorts of other fun things.
It's been a
nothing happened.
Sleepy summer for WordPress.
Yeah, it was chill.
It's sleepy, no news, nothing's happening.
So is building a website as easy as they say it is?
I have a way to rephrase that.
Yeah.
Is building a WordPress website as easy as launching a Tumblr?
Or buying a Tumblr?
Or buying a Tumblr, apparently, because apparently you can do that real easy too. No, I mean, obviously there's going to be cost in having a 200-person office. However, 3 million, that's a steal for all those users. That's my comment. That's all I have to say on Tumblr. Get a bar.
How do you
Groupon.
Well, we have, we've had people that have, we've had customers that have come to us and say, I built this website on Wix, I built this website on Weebly, I built this on whatever, and it sucks. I'm having all sorts of issues with it. I can't do all the fun things that I want to do with it. It's just not working right. And they thought it was easy.
The thing I hear most is I can't do X. It's like they can put the site up. That part's easy, right? You can get the site launched. And there is a thing on the internet with some pictures and maybe a little bit of blurby content. But does that a website make? It's a philosophical question. I'm putting it out to you.
Well, I think it may make a brochure that if they give somebody the URL on their business card, they can find it. But other than being a brochure, is it really successful? And was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago in January that every Wix site was de-indexed?
Oh, dang.
Oh, yeah. Well, Wix has had some serious SEO problems. I'm just drinking coffee right now. For the first time.
Coffee.
You beat me to that one, Jason.
What do you think is in it?
Mostly coffee. Like beer is mostly water.
Caffeine is already controversial enough in my state of
in your current state.
my current state of being. So let's not go crazy, okay? Let's not get Child Protective Services called on me yet.
All right. So
yeah.
is it easy? And if it's not easy, then what do you do to get out of it?
So I just want to. So the impetus for this question is because we briefly touched on this last week, and Glenn had a question about like what I was saying about how GoDaddy and Bluehost and all of the WordPress third-party spinner-uppers, you call them that. I just made that word up. They make it sound so easy. They're like, yes, just get a WordPress website. 2 seconds, you're good. Which is very Wix, Squarespace, Weebly, where it's just like, boom, bam, boom, website. And then Glenn asked a question in one of our groups, OC WordPress?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which group
it was. Reply to this. I'm not sure where I posted the question.
It's somewhere on the internet. And you so your question was?
Well, I think it's just the abundance of advertising that Wix, GoDaddy, Squarespace are just publishing on television, telling people you can have this great looking website in 10 minutes and be out there making money with your online stores and stuff like that. And we all know the reality of that isn't true. I mean, there have been, I don't know how many clients that I have that were on one of those platforms that literally we build it properly in WordPress, make sure all that their foundations is built on the website properly. And in 30, 60 days, all of a sudden they're on the first page of Google and they think we're gurus. No, we just made the foundation built better than a Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy web builders are going to do.
Well, I mean, so is that like, what do you think? Is that false advertising? Like in terms of like, they're like, you can do this, or is it really just that the definition of website is so loose? Like GoDaddy's not like, you can be on top of Google. They don't even have any, they don't even, talk about that, right? They just make it seem like it's easy, and people's belief about what a website is that it will also be found.
100%.
If you build it, they will come. Right?
Yeah, like the second you launch or push publish, like people are just like coming to your website. Like you're suddenly on Google and people are finding you and everyone's coming there.
Bullshit.
That's it really is the perception though. Like that's. And, you even see that when people are like, oh, I don't want to push publish on this site because it's not done. And I'm like, it'll be okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
So fun fact, I know for a fact that, don't ask me how I know, that GoDaddy, even though they say you can build a store in minutes and start selling your products and everything else, if you decide to use their managed WordPress product for that, you cannot shut their caching off. WooCommerce is not compatible with the way that GoDaddy managed WordPress hosting works. So, I mean, here's somebody who is advertising everywhere, saying, oh, you can build a store in minutes as long as you use whatever they have for like a store builder. But if you want to use WordPress, if you think, oh, I've heard of WordPress and sign up for that, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Well, I wonder if we should just do a lot of suing to everybody for false advertising. But see, they're not saying you can have a store up in minutes, right? Like that's again the perception of what people think. Oh, a website is a website is a website. So a website I can launch that'll immediately have a full membership backend, or it'll automatically have an entire e-commerce store, or it'll entirely automatically just have all of these things with it. Like what one person's perception of a website is varies widely amongst.
Absolutely. And when I tell people that I work on websites like for a living, they're normally like, oh, can you help me build my website? And it immediately turns into like, okay, well, what, like I go, no, but what do you need? And then we talk about it, and they always think, because they don't have, hands in, they have no skin in the game. They think, oh, someone could just put a website together because of the advertising of places like Squarespace, of places like Wix, where it's just a few clicks and you can get some stuff set up. And a lot of times there's been a few tragic moments where I've decided to say, oh yeah, I can help you guys with your website. And the worst and the worst, I know it's a rookie mistake, but I made it. Lessons were learned.
It's cool.
Yeah. No, I never tell them that, but the biggest teeth pulling, I mean, you can find a pretty off the shelf theme and kind of tweak it a little bit. Like I'm not going to do any special design work for someone I'm doing a favor for. But the biggest pulling teeth is getting content out of people. Actually, like, what do you want to put on your website? Yeah, sure. I can set up a page with a nice looking theme that's fairly fast, but hey, let's talk about content for a minute. What do you want to put on these pages? And then everything grinds to a halt.
I think that's actually the biggest misconception out there, because people listen to all the Wix, all those guys and the GoDaddies, and they're like, oh great, I can have a website, and somehow everyone thinks that the content's just going to like be there, like that they don't have to write that part. That's actually a huge part of like all of the training and the workshops that I do. It's all focused on content. I've been obsessed with it for, I don't know, forever. But like that I think is the main misconception, because you can have a website. You can pop up a WordPress website in minutes. You really can. You can sign up to Wix in, a couple of minutes, but that's a shell. That's a splash page. That's not a functioning website, and you have to go into all the content of like, what are those details? What are you doing with the website? What are you, who are you talking to? And that, my friend, is marketing.
And speaking of marketing, how many times did we come up with a different name to describe like a half-assed website? Like it's like a splash page, a one pager, a single page. Like there's all these different terms that are like defining, like, I just need my business card on my website.
I need a URL.
Yeah.
I need something that looks like I have a website and it's there.
Yeah, and these people that aren't doing it probably don't have any ideas for call to actions, don't have any ideas of looking at the psychology of the buyer. So you're actually building a site, whether it be analytical or emotional. I think the funniest one was I walked into a law firm about 8-10 years ago, and they had this brand new our website they were just so happy with. And I looked through it and I said, how do I contact you? They built a website with no phone number and no email.
It's the internet. Yeah. They just show up through the internet. You receive them through the internet, and then you sell them on the thing.
I got an email from it's kind of like through various networking groups last week. Jason, you saw it on Twitter, where they were basically like selling a webinar for building the most successful website there ever was. And, I'm like, well, their whole tactic was wrong. Basically, they're like, I was looking at your website. This is like a person-to-person email from a person. This is not like straight spam, even though it was spam, but it's not like, some random emailing you. It was like someone within the network. And they're like, I've been looking at your website, and there's a lot you could be doing that you're not doing. And I went to their website, and it was a splash page pointing to a Facebook group. And then I indexed I went and looked, on Google at their to see what pages were indexing. And they had, a whole shell of a website behind that was just lorem ipsum text and blank pages and literally nothing. And I was like, I didn't name and shame, because I don't want to hurt these people, but
to be fair, say, do you have a Facebook group? Because if you don't, you're just leaving money on the table.
I have like 20 Facebook groups. I'm in and run. It's awful. It's the worst. I hate it.
Right, but does your website point to your Facebook group? Because that's where the real money is made.
You know what? Everyone who's just on Facebook, grouping around, it's not a good thing.
We're missing all this money, is what Jason Kosper is saying.
Yeah, I mean, look at those commercials that Facebook's been running about the power of their groups, like dads watching baseball games with their daughters, and
they're running ads that do that. I don't have TV, so I have no idea. But really, they put ads for that?
Mm-hmm. I pay for all of the streaming services and all of the cable, and I just. It's constantly on at my house. Inject television into my veins, please. And they have they're trying to realign themselves towards towards groups,
because that's really part of Facebook that works.
No, it isn't, because that's where all the white supremacists hang out.
Okay, well, if we're
Speaking of one pager,
topics, my point is that doesn't mean that the groups don't work just because the groups are being used for nefarious reasons. In fact, I might say that it means that they are working, and that is part of the problem.
so what about if you have a Facebook page that you think is doing really well, and now you are feeling that you need to break out of Facebook and build a website for it? Is that easy? Like, is that something that you can do?
Really happen? Is that a trajectory that happens? Like people go from Facebook? Like, I guess it does. Actually, really,
Yeah.
more goes from Instagram. I would say these days, people have a successful Instagram, and then they need to branch out more into a website.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's probably hard. Because now
I-
you're actually putting words on things instead of just photos with a description that no one reads.
Yeah, it's like bad training. Like Instagram and Facebook are like bad training for developing a website. Like it's like teaching you all of the wrong things that you should do. Like, you know, hashtag 10 million things, which everyone does, even though that doesn't work on Instagram anyway. I don't know what's wrong with everybody. Like the more hashtags equals the more views. No.
So I will relay a funny story about Instagram. My wife's uncle runs a salsa business here out of Bakersfield. He posts regularly to Instagram and adds as many hashtags as he can for discovery. He found out.
Are they totally unrelated, by the way? Like super.
No, they are actually. They're fairly well targeted. However, he was realizing that none of his images had captions, and he could not understand why. It's because he was shoehorning so many hashtags into the actual image description that Instagram was like, oh, this is spam, and stripping the entire caption.
Oops.
They were still letting the photo post go up. And he's like, man, I can't tell anybody the farmers markets I'm going to be at. I can't tell anyone this. And it's like, finally, he decided to only post something that had like 5 or 10 hashtags. And it was fine.
That's
he's
only
like, oh,
it works anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone's got, I crack up because there's a lot of people that I follow, well, not a lot of people that I follow, but I follow various friends that I follow who like have like, you know, businesses also. And then it doesn't matter what picture they post, they have the same like hashtags that are like this collection of like random hashtags that have nothing to do with the photo. And I'm like, you people are ruining all the feeds. That's your fault that these hashtags aren't more effective. Do you ever go and look at hashtags? We're totally off topic, but do you ever go and look at hashtags and just like see all the random nonsense that's in there? It's actually really funny. They're like, half of them might be.
Oh yeah, everybody tags sunset, and it has nothing to do with a sunset. You know, it's just like things like that.
Coffee, you know,
I mean,
there's no sunset here.
I mean, we have people that do that with content that they put on their websites, where they'll go and put a bunch of tags or categories, and they'll just like overload it with all this stuff, and you're like, whoa, like this isn't the way you're supposed to like use taxonomies. I don't understand why you're doing this.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I have a client who has been essentially blogging for, I don't know, maybe like 10 years, right? And we're going to do a website update. And I'm like, so this is great. We could change the title so it's, you know, blog, so it's a little more modern. And he was like, I don't want to have that anymore. I'm just going to use social media. And I was like, how do I explain to you how important, like, you're the only people, you're one of the few people providing actual original content on a website. Like, this is a value to people as opposed to just noise in the social media nonsense. And I'm like to explain to a non-techie client, I was just like, look at indexing and like stuttering of all these things. Like, I don't even know where to start to explain to someone who's just like, oh yeah, I don't need that. I'm just going to do this on social. And I'm just like, you're taking away a value that you've created and just substituting it with something that it will be, you know, they're like, oh, just put up like, you know, we can just do a Shopify thing. And I'm just like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Anyway, that's the thing, right? People just think it doesn't matter. And I have a ton of like old clients who, you know, people who I've I'm not working with anymore, and they'll come back to me and they'll be like, so we did a website update and we had someone build us this new website and suddenly none of our sites are ranking anymore. And I'm like, oh, you mean your web developer didn't like care about your links, didn't pay attention to your content, just changed all your links, and you lost all of your decade of SEO that you've been working on? Bummer.
That's cool.
That's cool. No big deal. You can totally get that back. NBD.
Yeah, we don't need all those other pages that we're ranking for all these other things. We just need these 5 pages. That's all we need.
That's all we need. But see, that's the problem, right? It's this conception that like you don't need that. Like people really do not understand. This is what I also like to tell people. They don't understand how the internet works. Like they don't understand how Google works. They don't even stop to think about how their clients are wanting to use their website. Like people go onto websites and they want information. It's why you're going to a website, especially if you're in a small business, right? You're going there to get information about the business. And so if the business is like, oh, I don't need to provide any information, I'm like, what are we doing here then? Like if you like, and this is how I always frame it to my clients, if you go on a website, what are you looking for about the business? And they're like, information. I was like, and if a website doesn't have that information on it, what do? They go find another website. And I'm like,
so maybe that's why all these websites are coming that have all pictures. They're Instagrammers that are building websites, don't think you need content.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I guess the real answer to our question is, yeah, sure, it's easy to build a website depending on what your definition of website is. So, hey, guess what? It depends. Just like every other episode that we've ever done.
What do you think, Kosper?
I was going to say, it's really interesting. I've seen businesses that start here, restaurants that start here, that will end up, they'll spin up a site like, oh, website coming soon, but here's like the basic, like here's how to get, here's the address, our hours of operation, and that's it. And you're like, well, shit, I want a menu. I want to see like what you guys have. So what do you end up doing? You go to Yelp, and someone someone has taken a crappy picture of the menu photo. And there are restaurants that limp along like this that for months or years, and it's like, how much money are you leaving on the table by not taking what is probably a PDF copy that you guys are printing
at the minimum, just a PDF.
Yeah.
Just put a picture on there.
I mean, it should be actual text. I always kind of cringe a little bit when they post a PDF that hasn't been optimized for the web, and then you download like a 5 megabyte PDF, and you're sitting there, and
it's just a big image.
Right.
Yelp anyway.
Yelp or your phone browser or whatever crashes because it wasn't expecting a PDF. Like all of this crap, and it's just like, no, just hey, even if you have to do the basic minimum viable website effectively, then please just fucking do that.
There's a restaurant near me that, and this happens a lot, I think, with restaurants. They're like, we're seasonal, changing our menu changes seasonally, and so they don't want to put their website, their menu, that is an inappropriate gesture, Jason. They don't want to put their menu on because it changes all the time, and it's seasonal, whatever. So there's this restaurant just dead around the corner, and it says on their website, our menu changes, daily. Just come in. And of course, you go to Yelp and you look at the photos on their website, and you look at the menu photos from last week or 5 months ago and a year ago, and guess what? Menu not changing daily. Same menu. So even though they have these like lofty aspirations, maybe they have a daily special, by the way, that could be put on Instagram. Maybe they have a daily special or something, but like, you have some basics that you're going to sell, and like, put that stuff on there.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say with the PDFs is they're not accessible. And Ask the Whisper Lounge up in LA, they lost a lawsuit over a PDF on their website that wasn't accessible.
Ooh, I like animation that has the word lawsuit in it. That's the best way to get people to comply. Like with the email privacy stuff that's happening, you're like, yeah, but you can be sued. And then they're like, okay, I guess I should listen to you now.
Well, But on the flip side, we have who is it? Domino's, who's having a big fluff over the accessibility on their site, and I think it would cost them. It was something in the ballpark. It was $23,000 or $32,000 to basically like update their website, make it accessible, and they are putting hundreds of thousands of dollars of lawyers and everything else to try to defeat this accessibility challenge. So basically, they're spending more money than they actually need to spend to try to smash down accessibility laws.
It's actually personified. I just saw an article last week that they were accessible, and they put a BOGO, a buy one, get one free on there, just at the right time that one of these testers was on their website and they were sued over one part that wasn't accessible. Everything else they'd already paid for.
Wow.
I just saw an article about that last week.
That's
Whoops.
brutal.
Yeah.
And that's going to start happening more and more, especially with the in California. Are you in California, Glenn? You're in California?
Yeah, I'm in Huntington Beach.
So in California, January 1st, the California Consumer Privacy Act goes into effect, which is essentially like the GDPR. I wouldn't even say the GDPR light. It's just basically the GDPR. But for
100%.
California, which, there's a lot of commerce that happens here. And I imagine, I predict that there will be consumer groups that are going around and, creating what I would like to call attention-grabbing lawsuits, where they're just making a point to show that these websites are not complying, and you do not want to get caught up in that. Like, it could even not actually be a customer who's coming to the site, right? Like, and I didn't know about the accessibility one with Domino's, but at this point, it's like, you know what? Just do best practices and stop arguing that it's not worth it because the lawsuits. So again,
hire people that know what they're doing.
No one, like, Wix doesn't tell you this stuff. Like, Weebly doesn't tell you this stuff. Like, WordPress.com has an automatic like privacy thing that comes in, and WordPress core has that too. I actually don't know how that pops up on like managed WordPress stuff. Like, I don't think it's automatic, the privacy cookies thing on the WordPress.org installs. It does happen by default on WordPress.com. So there is some protection built into that. But as far as I know, on Wix, Weebly, and the like, they're not interested in helping you protect. Like, they're not liable. They don't, at least that's what I've seen. I don't, Shopify too? Like, are they? That's a good question.
I'm hoping this is the end to a lot of those, because they don't do those things for you. In fact, I saw a company in Chicago hit me a month or two ago. It's an attorney and an IT person that have come together, and they build a plugin for you to put in your footer towards the attorney will update the privacies and stuff like that as laws change, and automatically roll it out to every site you put it on.
Oh, that's a good service.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
That's great. Also, the way you told that, it sounded like it was a joke. Like an IT guy and a lawyer walk into a bar.
Yeah.
One of them
just
says,
funny how
"Hey,
these collaborations come together."
Hey, have you heard of cookies? Let's make this happen."
And they bake a cookie.
No, it sounds like that's definitely a topic that we need to discuss here on the show at some point. And
Which
we
one?
should definitely circle back around for it.
California Consumer Privacy Act?
Yeah.
I've been talking about that a lot lately.
Well, you're going to have the same law firms. You have like 2 or 3 law firms in each county that are doing these serial lawsuits for accessibility. They'll jump onto CCPA after the first year as well.
Why not?
Since we don't have a lot of time left, I'll give another little quick thing about accessibility. Accessibility actually helps everyone to the point where now I've been reading articles about how millennials, Gen Z, etc., even old-ass people like me are using subtitles on Netflix, on stuff that they watch. Basically, that the subtitles weren't built for me. They were built for people who have issues hearing, but basically watching shows with that on in case you miss something, in case it's not as great to use on a comedy, but the fact that you can actually do that, it actually helps everyone.
I have subtitles on every, like by default on any I watch. I always have subtitles on. I watch. And in fact, I find it weird to not watch with subtitles. I don't know what, I didn't know that was like a generational trend. I thought it was just weird, but I'm glad to know I'm representing my millennial generation.
Well, that started
Well,
with Netflix was one of the first ones that was sued.
For not having closed captioning.
Subtitles and accessibility, yeah.
Oh, well,
look at the time. Look at the time. Folks, I want to say thank you very much for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com and you can click on the links there to subscribe. Feel free to go take a look at that. Look, that's Say's face right there. You see it right there? That's Say's face.
Oh, it's over there on that side. I was like, why is it over here?
All right, folks. Y'all have a good one. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.